All right, Nick. Here we lie. Another night. Another close Reds baseball game. Let me get myself squared away here. Is that the right way? Yes. I think I'd have this figured out by now, but don't know if I do.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get an extra one here, huh?
Feels like we kind of need it, but go. Get up the line. Good attempt. Yeah, chat, we're ahead of you. Or behind you. That's going to be for sure because your boy here's on Fubo. Which is just behind the Telegram. TJ, that's a good pitch. All right, folks. Public service announcement number 1. This is a big game. We need the likes, okay? We need the likes. We need to skyrocket those bad boys because this is a big baseball game. I don't care what anyone tells you. You can fool yourself into thinking that the Cubs aren't for real if you'd like, but they are. They're a good team. It's a big swing game. Big swing game. Yeah, that wouldn't hit that hard, though. That was a good catch.
You a lot of,
good catch. Just wouldn't hit hard.
Gives you some wiggle room for sure.
That was about 84 mile an hour off the bat, if I had to guess.
Let's see.
So that was a fist.
Survey says, man, Statcast is behind Fubu. That's embarrassing.
It's not good. I think it's Fubo, to be fair to Fubu.
Fubu.
I don't want to put Fubu in the same category. Fubo.
It was only 70 off the bat.
I was being nice. Told you it was pretty poorly hit.
You were on that.
Oh man, can we just? This is where one of those just big flies would be cool. Just hit one over the fence. Make this super simple. Boy, I tell you what. Who was that clown the Cubs ran out there? Assad. Is that what his name? Assad. Never seen a guy throw so many hittable pitches the Reds just swung through. It's almost...
I get them confused because their closer is Adbert Alzolay, and then they got Javier Assad. I don't know. They look a lot closer than they sound, I guess.
I like Leiter Jr. asking if that ball is outside. Bro, it hit the dirt. Was the ball outside? Hey, you might need a glove down there. Hustle, big fella. Hustle. Oh, no. The right fielder took it away from him, man. Oh, that's piss poor. That's so bad down there. Did they not let those guys have gloves, or did that guy just say, I don't need one? What was it?
Trying to be a tough guy.
Yeah, well. Have fun being a tough guy at the hospital. Good pitch. Well, shit. This is going to be a tough one.
All right, Alexis.
This is going to be a tough one.
No pressure, big fella.
Yeah. This is the biggest save of the year for him. Don't care what anyone tells me. This is the toughest. In my opinion, this is the toughest save spot he's going to have so far. He's going to be in enemy territory. It's going to be loud. He's got the heart of the order coming up.
I would say that save against the Braves has got to be the 12th straight win. Where are we at in the lineup here?
You can say whatever you want. You have a chance to get. You have a chance to add a game. You have a chance to add a game on the second and third place teams in this division.
I mean, yeah. In terms of like the overall impact, I mean, maybe. But
how far back are the Cubs if they were to theoretically win this game? I'm just curious.
Maybe 3 back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 or 5. I mean, it's yeah,
3 or
it's
5.
Huge...
It's massive.
I didn't get a chance to be a game and a half ahead of the Brewers, and the Brewers are playing the Nationals.
As ridiculous, yeah.
You can't expect the Nationals to keep winning.
No. As ridiculous as this sounds, the Cubs are going to be... Is it crazy to think that they might try to sell based off what happens tonight? I mean, that seems wild, but I'm just saying.
They've already... I mean, they just bought a third baseman that's a free agent at the end of the year.
Oh, so they're in buy mode.
They're going to look pretty dumb if they, if they sell.
All right, so they're in buy mode. They're in buy mode.
I can't imagine they would reverse course. Need some likes, folks. Need some likes.
Need likes. I can't see the chat. I put them away. I can't handle it. I can't handle the chat tonight. Can't do it. We'll put them back up when the show starts. Just throw strikes. Just throw some strikes.
Love you all, and I think I'm gonna minimize the chat also. Yeah, it's too hard to. Yeah,
well, sometimes this is I want to know firsthand here, Nick. I don't want to find out through the chat.
Well, Chad, if there's ever a time where you just want to completely rip into us, but you don't want us to see it, this is your time. This is your opportunity. Let it fly. I did see Paul in there, so we might have a moderator. Does Paul have the wrench?
Yeah, Paul's got a wrench.
Okay, all right. But Paul, it's all on you, buddy.
Nico Horner.
Oh, I was not at the right spot in the lineup. What was I looking at?
I don't know. I tried telling you. It's the toughest save opportunity he's had a long time. Throws sliders like that.
It's a good pitch.
Boy, I'll tell you what. Is this not fun, though? This is fun. This is fun. That's a great pitch. We'll take it. I'll tell you right now. Listen, the umpire scorecard is in favor for us tonight. I'm just going to tell you right now. I don't know how much of an impact it's made in regards to the runs on the umpire scorecard, but it's without question been in favor of the Reds. I have no doubt in saying that.
I thought he's been great.
Of course, yeah. Naturally.
Game of his life, I mean.
Naturally. This is one of those ones where he just doesn't give the pitch down. Is there a way you can throw a fastball up and in here? Can we do that? Or are we not taking any chances? We're going to keep throwing that slider outside and let him lean over the plate. Well, that'll do.
There's one.
Let's let him keep.
There we go.
Golly, Dave. Do you realize how good of a pitch that has to be to just throw it? Not every time, but throw it, and they know it's coming, and they still don't lay off of it. And that ball started on the outside corner, and he still swung at it.
I think Diaz is he's feeling the effect of Sam Moll. It's just the Moll has lifted him.
Well, I hope so. Let's not get ahead of ourselves too much, Nick. Sam Moll, good pitch though. I mean, that's a good pitch. We need one more of those swings.
Diaz. It's Alexis Diaz. Oh, he got a 2-week vacation.
Well, let's hope he finishes it. I want to see 3 outs.
Tell a friend.
I want to see 3 outs. What a hilarious crowd that is. What are they cheering for? I mean, that's the weakest fly ball I've ever seen in my life, and the crowd just thought that thing was hit dead nut center field 420 feet.
TJ Fruto could have caught that with his eyes closed.
Do we really need to tie our shoe right now, though? I mean, I'm just saying, let's keep the momentum going here. That dude needs some pitcher's toe on that damn cleat. Did you see that? The dude's got a hole in his cleat. He needs to get a little bit of that pitcher's toe on there now. Get some new cleats.
I was looking at Buzz and Woody in the background. My wife texted me. She's so excited.
I'm all for Buzz and Woody. Who we got here? Ian Happ.
Yeah,
No, listen, no, we're not doing this EA stuff. We're going right at this, dude. This ain't Great American Ballpark, number one. Number two, it's Ian Happ. Good player, but I'm tired of treating this guy like he's Babe Ruth.
He looks locked in. Those eyes.
Make a play, whoever it is.
All right.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the Reds. Unbelievable. Do you realize how big of a game that is? Do you realize how big of a game that is? It's a massive game. It's a massive game. Let's do a show. Let's do a baseball show. I can't tell you how big of a baseball game that is, people. I can't begin to tell you. I don't want to say I was nervous. That's not what I was, but I was a little anxious. Reds hold on. Alexis Diaz is the nut cutter of all nut cutters tonight. Reds win 6-5, Nick. You can tell I'm a little out of breath. I don't know. I'm just excited. This team's got me. I was believing, Nick. I've been believing. But tonight was a little bit of more of a turning point because I don't think they played their best game. They still won. Your thoughts?
Well, you jump on Marcus Stroman early. That was just a huge second and third innings. Obviously, you would have liked to have added a few other runs, but you hang on. Another just incredible effort from the Cincinnati Reds bullpen. It goes sometimes unnoticed. What a performance from 5 guys. Just incredible stuff. Nope.
I'm muted. That's what happens. Listen, I blame Kirby for that. You know why? Because I was very conscious of my keyboard. I didn't want the keyboard to come into the show. He says that I have the loudest keyboard known to mankind. It goes into the chat and it goes into the podcast, blah, blah, blah. So I'm blaming him. I'm not blaming myself, who's the idiot who left it muted. I'm blaming Nick. That's what you do when you're a loser. You blame other people. Well, we got super chats flying in, all right? They're flying in. Anon76 says, I'm in buy mode, Trace. I believe in the Reds. Fireball. Listen, I have an admission to make. This is another loser move of me is I don't have Fireball on me right now, but I do have some other, beverages per se. We'll see if it this one's going to do a real bad number to me if I decide to do it. I'm going to do it for you, Anon. Just give me a minute. I got to work myself up to it. Kyle said, Christopher Morel, you almost had it. Hashtag fly the L. How long did they fly that L exactly? How long did they fly that L? They put it up there for like 5 minutes or something? 10 minutes? How long does that thing fly?
Hopefully for the next 5 days.
Well, maybe they'll just leave it up. I don't think they do that, though. I'm pretty sure that those bastards take it down after like 10 minutes. That's called, no integrity on the north side of Chicago.
Come to expect it.
Anyway, your thoughts. No free ads, but just saying.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Happy Monday.
Yeah. I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen. I don't even have a glass. I got to figure that out. You got to, Anon, just work with me. You got to give me a second, okay? This Jose Cuervo, it ain't gonna do your boy very good. But I'm gonna do it just because I feel bad. You're in here asking for Fireball, and I wish I had Fireball. Trust me. That's here nor there, Nick. Let's get into the game. I guess, in all honesty, let's do the box score recap because I feel like there's a decent amount of things that I felt like if the Reds would have lost, I was gonna bring up. So you know what? The Reds didn't lose. I'm still gonna bring them up. Because I think that they're relatively important topics of conversation, but I think it shows you how good this team is that they've overcame all these things that happened in the baseball game and still won. Hit them with the box score recap.
All right, Reds and Cubs, first of 4 in Wrigley Field. Both teams made a trade right before the game started, added a little bit of extra intrigue into the series. Top of the second, Reds got a 2-out rally cooking. Joey Votto singled, Christian Encarnacion Strand singled, and then Will Benson doubled, making it 1-0. And then Luke Maile hit another double, made it 3-0. Bottom of the second, Andrew Abbott did give up a solo home run to Dansby Swanson, but Reds came right back in the top of the third. TJ Friedel with the leadoff walk. He got the second on a fielder's choice. Jake Fraley singled him home. That made it 4-0. Jake Fraley then stole third. Spencer Steer walked. Joey Votto singled. That made it 5-1. And then Christian Encarnacion Strand hit an RBI ground that made it 6-1. Reds put up a 6 spot on the Cubs all-star ace, Marcus Stroman. Andrew Abbott, though, he did struggle a little bit tonight. He gave up 3 more runs and didn't make it out of the fourth with the Reds leading 6-4. But the Reds bullpen was just incredible once again, Trace. Buck Farmer, inning in 2/3, scoreless. Fernando Cruz, he got 2 outs, didn't allow a run. Alex Young, he got 1 out. Lucas Sims, he gave up 2 base runners, but got through a scoreless inning. Ian Jabot, the only Reds reliever to give up a run, and then Alexis Diaz looked as good as maybe he's looked all year in the bottom of the ninth. Reds hang on to win 6-5. Reds now 59-49. Reds will go into August 10 games over 500. The Brewers, they lost their 4th straight game. They lost 5-3 to the Nats. Reds now a game and a half up in the NL Central. And Reds get a little bit of breathing room on the Cubs, now 5 games ahead of the Cubs, who had won 8 in a row. But you know what? They've now lost 2 in a row.
Yeah, I hate to hear that. That's really sad. You know what? I've decided this. I went to try to find a shot glass. Couldn't find one. Got a better idea, though. I think what we're going to do tonight is there's some people that still know how to do business. They still use baseball helmets to serve things in. So tonight, I feel like this seems appropriate. We'll see how this goes. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a hole in it. Next thing you know, everything goes down. But more importantly, see, this is where this show becomes elite. Is that if you thought that I didn't have a Washington Nationals helmet, you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong, baby. So this is for you, Anon. That's not going to go well. But this is for you, Anon, and the Nationals. Shout out to the Washington Nationals. I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you and what you've done, not only tonight, but also for serving this country. Washington is usually a nice place. That is, if the cesspool of people that usually work out of there don't ruin it. But it is a beautiful part of our country if you've not been. And second of all, they have a team that's called the Nationals that beat a team called Milwaukee, who we just so happen to be trying to chase down. And you know what? I just realized we're not chasing anyone down. They're chasing us. So this is probably going to taste like absolute hell. But you know what? This is for the Nationals, and this is for Anon. Oh, that's way worse. Golly, people like that. Nothing like bringing a sponsor in right after that. The deep drive of the game, sponsored by D South Commodities. Do we even have a deep drive of the game? Or are we just going to say that the deep drive of the game was...
Will Benson's triple.
Will Benson's triple. All right. Wasn't so much of a deep drive outside of Suzuki just falling over his feet. Can't help him there. But the deep drive of the game is sponsored by Deep South Commodities. You know what about the DSC? They go by DSC. You know, if you know you're elite when you go by a nickname, right? So ELLEDEDLC CES. You know you're elite when you go by just nicknames. Don't believe me? MJ, TO. All right, I'll stop. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Again, thank you to Deep South Commodities for supporting this show and our small business. And this dumb chat with this dumb show, people like it. Nick Kirby's turning into an alcoholic right before our eyes. That is not to be blamed by me. Nothing like a Monday night.
It's exciting.
Doug, I'm not already drunk.
Celebrate it.
I'm not already drunk. I am what I would call this is pure happiness, because I realize, I'm not saying that you didn't realize it, but I realized that the Cubs, I seen that face, Nick. I realized the Cubs were hot. They were hot. They were just down in the dumps and they were rising. They were just going like this. And you know what? I was like, if they win tonight, man, they're only 3 back. And they got 3 games left in the series. But now they sit 5 back. And you know what? I'm not saying no matter what happens the rest of the series, it doesn't matter, because it does. But by God, you want to talk about a huge game. Tonight was a huge baseball game. I'm not going to say it anymore. All right. Offense is cooking. It was cooking, Nick, but it kind of sputtered a little bit there. I don't want to doubt. It's almost like, is that just a natural thing in baseball where the averages always pan out to where you scored so many runs in the first 2 innings? It's like, it's tough to muster up some more in the late innings. Because I didn't think they had that many good swings against Assad. Is that the guy's name? I'm sorry if I'm butchering that.
Yes, Javier Assad.
But boy, did they take Stroman to the absolute woodshed. And you know who was feeling it? The Cowboy. The Cowboy was feeling himself a little bit tonight in the first few innings. I digress. You got anything else to add about the offense cooking before
What was that? It was really the bottom of the order, which was cool to see. Votto, 2 hits, CES, 2 hits, Benson, 2 hits. Luke Maile had that huge double in the that really, that was with 2 outs. I mean, that made it 3-0. So just really great to see the bottom of the order producing. I mean, Marcus Stroman's a guy that came in with an ERA of 3.5 coming in. I mean, he was an all-star this year. I know he's been struggling of late, but you didn't, when you have a pitcher that's coming in that has struggled over his last, 5, 6, 7 starts, jump on him early. Don't let him get comfortable. Don't let him get settled in a home. And they didn't do that. And yeah, I mean, that's just a great performance against a good pitcher. And it was really a great way to set the tone in this series where the Cubs have been playing well. And, you put them in their place like they should.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out about the offense, in connection with the Super Chat, Christopher Monk brings up a good point. Thank you for the Super Chat, Christopher. He said, we got some strike calls that go our way. I felt that way, too. I did. It kind of felt like the whole balancing act in Milwaukee series. It felt disgusting. It felt like we could not get anything to go our way. And tonight felt a little bit better. I haven't seen. I'd be curious to see what the umpire scorecard looks like tomorrow. I think it's probably going to be the Reds by maybe close to a run, maybe a little more than a half run. Wouldn't shock me if it's more than a run though, because they got some fortunate breaks there with the strike zone. Mark Fetter says over 500 in the chat. Appreciate you with the super chat. Listen, if this is your first time here, you're welcome. You're welcome. If you're a Cubs fan, if they lose, you're welcome back in here as well. I apologize for being a Cubs fan. However, one thing we do on the show is if you would hit the like button, that actually gives us a better chance to win tomorrow. I know this is very, 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 very broken record for the OGs of the chat. But, when new people come in, you got to let them know what the house rules are. The house rules are you more likes, the better chance you win tomorrow. It's proven over the course of the year. It is science, okay? Here's where I'm at with the offense. I think that this team, if anything, runs the bases, I don't want to say extremely well, but they do such a good job of really pushing the envelope when it comes to running the bases. Now, I do think we caught a little bit of a break with Joey Votto going first to third there. Is that a smart baseball play? Probably not. Probably not. It's one of those things where since it worked out, no one's going to say a whole lot about it. if it didn't work out and he gets thrown out at third right there with 2 outs in the inning, making that the third out, none of those runs happen. None of that 2-out rally happens. Now, you could always say, hypothetically speaking, if he had stayed at second base instead of going to third, maybe they would have gotten different pitches, blah, 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 blah. But let's be honest, it wasn't the best baseball move. But you know what? I at least commend this team, Nick, because they run the bases a certain way. And you know what I do appreciate about what Joey Votto's done since he's come back is Joey Votto has taken or has put himself into the mold of what the team identity is. He's wearing his hat backwards. He's trying to take first and third. If this team wasn't aggressive on the bases, Nick, I don't think Joey Votto even has any inclination of going first to third there. But since the young guys do it, he almost wants to be like them in a way. I really do feel that way. And he's the guy going first to third now. So, hey, it worked out for us. I don't want to sit here and be a negative Nancy when we win a big baseball game, but I really do appreciate the way this team runs bases, and I think it's one of the defining traits of our offense, if you will.
Yeah, I mean that was probably not the best decision there by Joey, but hey, back-to-back multi-hit games. Also had a 2-hit game, the series finale against Milwaukee. So, Votto has looked a lot better of late, which is certainly great to see. It's felt like there's been a couple times where it's like, oh man, Votto's really starting to get off the rails, and then boom, he just has a couple good games and looks like, I don't want to say Joey Votto of old, but looks like the competitive Joey Votto that we expect can still be an offensive contributor this year.
Before we get too far into this, I have a quick question for you. I think David brings it up in the chat. I think it's a good point. Fairchild starts tomorrow, you think?
Yeah, lefty. He better be in.
Yeah, I would assume he's in, right?
I would assume.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of guys that have been playing a lot. So, I mean, I would expect you're going to see Senzel, you're going to see Newman, you're going to see Fairchild, and then you'll see probably Fraley, Votto, and either Friedel or Benson. I think it'll be Friedel and Benson splitting off days, which is fine. I think one of those guys are fine against a lefty. I think 2 of them probably pushing it.
Right.
But both those guys, provide a little bit extra value. Friedel a lot more. I think Friedel's a really, really good defensive center fielder. And Friedel, hey, he had 2 walks today as well. After a big game on Sunday, so good to see him at the top of the lineup. Producing a little bit as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, moving on in here to Abbott and the bullpen, specifically Abbott. This is where this game started to feel gross, I guess, in a way. It feels like, at least from my perspective, it felt like a game that we kind of stole. And I know that sounds stupid when you jump on Stroman so early and you go up by 5 runs, but it just felt like there for the longest time we were neglecting chances to extend our lead, and we really didn't get a good start out of the guy that we are currently considering our ace. Now, will he be the ace come the very end of the year? I don't know. I mean, that's to be determined, but he's right now our number 1 guy. And when you give up, or when you have the outing that he has and still win a baseball game, you're very fortunate. And it just felt like Abbott's control was not there. That was the missing piece. I don't want to say that he doesn't. There's nothing really wrong here. It's just one of those nights where Abbott didn't have his traditional control. And he walked too many guys. I don't know how you felt about it, but he just straight up could not throw the ball over the plate.
I mean, Abbott looked like a rookie for one of the few times this year. And he had that one start against the Brewers where he got hit around a little bit and bounced right back the next start. So I would have no worries about him long term. I would say, the Reds' inability to add on in this game, it was a little bit different of a game than I think a lot of other traditional games where you have a starter only go 3 innings. The next pitcher, Assad, I mean, he pitched 3 2/3 innings. So it was really just one pitcher that came in and dominated you. It wasn't like reliever after. It wasn't like the Reds did with reliever after reliever after reliever after reliever. And Assad came in with a 3.5 ERA on the year. He came with almost an identical ERA as Stroman.
Right.
Obviously, doesn't have the same talent level, which is why he's in the bullpen as their long guy versus in the rotation. But it's not like he was a terrible pitcher coming in. He's had some success this year, and he pitched well today. But that's why you gotta jump on these starters early when you have a chance to, jump on the starters early. Especially guys that come in struggling, you got to do that because you don't want them to get comfortable. And it's almost like with Stroman, it's kind of like a double win because obviously you have the success tonight, but Stroman came in struggling. He leaves feeling bad about himself again, and you the next series it could have an effect on him, a little bit longer.
We have really, really relatively intelligent people that watch this show. Randy has mentioned this a couple times here. I see he's trying to get a little bit of a shout out on stream. And then Christopher Monk as well brings us up. Listen, he threw a lot of pitches last outing as well, did Andrew Abbott, right? He threw 113, whatever it was, 113, 116 pitches, whatever. I don't remember the exact number, but it was up there. And that can have a little bit of an effect on your next start. There's no doubt about it. You might go into the next start without throwing a bullpen session or a little side session or a short box. And, I don't know if Andrew Abbott changed his routine up and like he normally would just to try to give him a little extra rest, but that's possible too. I don't know if that's something that maybe the reporters would ask after the game. I doubt it, but nonetheless, it's fair. It is fair to at least assume that his last outing might have had a little bit of an impact on this outing. I'm not worried about him one iota. I don't want people to think that by any means. I'm just bringing up the fact that when you have a game from your starter go the way that it does, when you expect something and you get something else, it can have a little bit of a wear and tear on the team. And I didn't expect them. I don't want to say I didn't expect them to win, but shout out to the bullpen. Let's move on to them because how do I say this? I don't know if this is 100% always the truth. I'd be curious to ask a bunch of guys or poll people that were in the bullpen. I would like to suspect that the bullpen guys, they know who's going on the mound from a starting pitching perspective. It's kind of like sometimes in their mind, they might just be like, all right, fine, we're probably going to get a little bit of an easier night. And I'm again, this would have to be a poll. I'm just assuming, but I'm making a major assumption here that the bullpen guys, when Andrew Abbott's throwing, probably feel a little bit differently than when Luke Weaver's feeling. That's no offense to Luke Weaver or his family or anyone in his inner circle. I'm just saying there's a probably better chance that the bullpen's ready to go, per se, when Luke Weaver's on the mound. So shout out to them. They came in, they were lights out. And you know who impressed me the most was your boy, your ride or die. Cruz looked amazing, bro. I know he only threw 2 hitters, but my God, 3 hitters total. He got 2 outs. He looked incredible, man. I mean, seriously, I don't know why they took him out because Alex Young came in and got the deal done, but damn, he looked good.
He's a weapon. No, I like that point about Abbott. I mean, Abbott in 8 of his 10 starts has gone 6 innings. Last 2 starts 6 and then 8. He had a start this in July where he went 7 2/3 innings. So, yeah, I mean, you're expecting, when Andrew Abbott pitches, you're probably not expecting Fernando Cruz and Alex Young and Buck Farmer to pitch. It's probably Sims, Jabot, Diaz. That seems like the back 3 at this point. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. It's kind of wild as dominant as the Reds starting pitching's been of late. The one bad start in recent memory is Andrew Abbott, but that's, I guess, kind of how baseball goes. And I would expect that Andrew Abbott will come back out this weekend against the Nationals and throw another, 6 innings, 2 runs, something like that, what we get back to expecting out of him. We do this all the time on the show. I don't really want to keep beating a dead horse with this bullpen, but I think it's the greatest strength that this team has. I go back and forth on that sometimes. I do think that the youth energy that this team has, plus the base running, plus the offensive production from time to time, seems to always want to be like, oh, that's fun. Let's talk about that. Let's make that the bigger picture in regards to the biggest thing that this team has going for it. But the more and more I really think about it, the bullpen, more or less, in my opinion, has the most psychological impact on a baseball team. If the bullpen's bad, there's nothing quicker that can ruin the vibes of a clubhouse than a bad bullpen. You go out, you get a lead, you blow it. You go out, you have a chance to win a game late in innings, and then you blow it. And you do that a couple times within a week, Nick, and you're starting to get to where, I don't want to say animosity builds up within a clubhouse, but there's no question that it's a little more demoralizing than going down 4 or 5-0 in the first inning and then end up losing, right? Like if the Cubs tonight, let's just hypothetically say,
the way that we scored our runs was in reverse. And again, I'm not suggesting that psychologically they could never come back from it. But if you, on the back end of your games, give up runs on a very frequent basis, and it causes you to lose games, there is no doubt in my mind that ultimately over the course of a year adds up to more losses than your starting pitching not being as good. Now, do I have anything to back that up? Is that just a feel thing? Yes. Maybe there's some kind of analytical equation that someone could say, hey, actually, over the course of 20 years, this has actually been the case, and it's like 2% difference. I don't know. But you get my point there. I think that this team has survived some pretty bad spells, largely because of their bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, the Reds are now 24-21 in one-run games. What did they start? 1-7? So that's what, 23 and 14 in the last however many
I'm
games
not good
that
at
is.
math.
I mean, that's getting it done. I mean, that's the difference of you being 10 games above 500 or being 500, right? Maybe even below 500.
Right.
That's that big of a swing. And so the bullpen, I think, is taking this team from a competitive team to a team that's 10 games above 500 in first place. I think that's really probably the difference. And I've said it before. Nick Krall deserves a hell of a lot of credit for this bullpen because the highest paid reliever is Buck Farmer making $1.75 million. You put together a bullpen like this with that amount of money, you deserve a lot of credit for it. And yeah, I mean, it's just It's been an incredible run this season.
It has. This team is a team that is one in which I don't think that you get all that often, largely because when expectations change, you don't have the joyful glee that you traditionally would have, right? You almost become kind of like a rich kid in a way, right? You start to kind of just take for granted a lot of the pleasures of life that most people don't have. You know, and I'm being relatively serious when I say that because you can look at the expectations of what this team's going to have in 2 and 3 years, and people are going to be like, oh, if they don't make the championship series or they don't make the World Series, it's going to be a disappointment. Again, I'm going to try to guard myself from being like that because I think when you set expectations that high, you end up like the Mets, where it's just not a given. It's not a given to automatically be great. It's not a given to automatically be playing meaningful baseball like this. Hell, if any fan base knows it or any franchise knows it, it's the Reds. It has been a long time since we've had a joyful season similar to this one. Yes, the shortened COVID year is one thing, but this is all different. This is completely different from the COVID year. I would argue this is even different from 2012, and it's more or less because of the style of play that they have, and couple that with the fact that your expectations coming into this year, my expectations coming into this year, were at an all-time low. And that's what makes this season special. And I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care. That'd be the wrong word. I'm going to try my best to guard against someone stealing the joy of what this season could be. You know what? If this team falls short in some capacity, I'm just going to try to harken back and say, on July 31st, I mean, here soon we're going to be talking about August, Nick. Here soon we're going to be talking about August. But on July 31st, I'm nervous. This is fun. I never in a million years expected this. And I want to keep reminding myself, like you should if you live in the United States of America, no offense to Yash, that you're a blessed person. I'm going to keep it moving. I got some super chats to get to after you give me some of your thoughts off that.
Well, great tweet from good follow Dan Lanzalito. Reds enter August in first place. In the 21st century, here's the years that the Reds have been in first place on August 1st. 2006, 2010, 2012, 2023. And we were supposed to lose almost 100 games this year. I mean, if you can't enjoy this, then whatever. What a run. What a season, you know, and we've had we've grinded through a lot of bad years. And what you said, I mean, it's probably true. I hate to say it, probably almost anything that happens next year will be a disappointment, right? If we're being honest.
I mean, maybe. I don't know if this team goes out and wins 90 plus games, or
that's almost what the bar will be for it to be.
No, I know, and that's not fair. Yeah, and that's not fair. That's not fair. But you know what? You know what the beautiful thing in life is you can set your own expectations. You don't have to go with the crowd. You can set whatever expectations you think that should happen. And if they fall below that, so be it. But again, one of the greatest advices I've gotten in my life, which I don't think that it's great to live everything by this method, but when you set your expectations pretty low, Nick, it's actually not all a bad thing. You can be pleasantly surprised a lot in your life. If you have high expectations everywhere you go, you're probably going to be a little more disappointed than you normally would be. Doug with the super chat. Thank you very much, my man. Doug, first super chat. Thanks for the shout out, Trace. All in good fun with the win tonight. The show is not, again, about me and Nick. I know that we're on here, obviously, but at the end of the day, man, we like having fun with our chat. We like having fun with our community. That's what this has been about pretty much the whole entire time since we've done it. The Chatterbox Reds night was absolutely amazing. It was fun. Yes, it did rain in the 8th inning. That kind of spoiled the fun a little bit. But for the most part, I just like the fact that whether it's on the X app, I guess I'm gonna try to start calling it that, and in our chat, we've grown to know the names. We've grown to build a community here, and we'll see where the hell it takes us. And I will promise you one thing: Who's Your Daddy asked for this when we were like 6 and 9 or whatever the term was. Nice, by the way. Thank you. Way back when the season started, we're going to do a watch party. Even I would even say if we get down to the nitty gritty of the end of the year and there's a big series, maybe we do some watch parties then. If not, we'll figure out the playoff situation, but we'll do some watch parties. We got the equipment. We got everything it takes to do a pretty legit watch party. All right. Let's talk about Sam Moll, right? Let's get that out of the way now. People want to know, who is this guy? He's coming from the Athletics. Is he any good? Well, is he bad? I'd argue he's probably right in the middle of that. Nick, your thoughts on Sam Moll?
All right, got 6 paragraphs for you. Ready?
I love it. Yeah, hit me with it.
All right, left-handed relief pitcher, 5'9", 31 years old, was a 3rd-round pick of the Rockies back in 2013. He made it through every level with the Rockies, but the Rockies were in need of a 40-man roster spot back in 2017. And since then, he bounced around in 7 different organizations, got tossed through waivers, including getting selected twice in 3 days at one point. Got to pitch 6 1/3 innings in 2017, but then went back down to the minors and didn't come back until 2021. But he has stayed in the majors since 2021, has been a successful reliever. 3.69 ERA in 105 games since 2021. This year, he's got a 4.54 ERA, but I really do think that's a little bit deceiving. He had one outing where he gave up 5 runs and only got 1 out. Take that out, as the ERA is down to the mid-3s. Peripheral numbers much better. Expected ERA is 3.03. Fielding independent pitching at 3.25. And since May 24th, he's got an ERA of 3.80. Fielding independent pitching of 2.11, striking out over 13 batters per 9 innings, only walking 2.5, and he doesn't give a lot of home runs, which you love at Great American Ballpark. He gets lefties out. 197 average against, 557 average against lefties, 71 plate appearances this year. He primarily throws a sweeper and a sinker. Over 80% of his pitches are those two. Sinkers at 94. The fastball that he doesn't throw as much is at 95. He gets a lot of weak contact, and like I mentioned, he struggled with walks earlier in the year, but since middle of May, he's really figured that out and been really good with his control. Nice thing for the Reds. Reds have him under team control through 2027. I mean, at 31 years old, probably unlikely he actually, you hang on to him that long. But the next 2 years, he'll be making the league minimum. So even if he's only a 2-year guy, he's making the league minimum. That's huge for your team building next year, all that kind of stuff. He's not just a 2-month rental. And then of course, what the Reds gave up. Reds gave up their 28th ranked prospect, Joe Boyle. We've mentioned Joe Boyle a million times on this show. A guy that I like. He's an incredible talent. Could throw over 100, strikes out a ton of batters, but he's walking over 8 batters per 9 innings. Did that last year as well. And then Bryce Spalding brought up a really good point. Reds would have had to have added Joe Boyle to the 40-man roster this offseason, which would have been difficult because I don't think Joe Boyle's you'd expect him to go in the majors next year, right?
Right.
And so that's kind of where he would have become a player that you would have had to make a tough decision with. Do we let him just hold a 40-man roster spot for the next year, 2 years, however long it takes him to develop? I mean, Joe Boyle's the kind of guy that you could look back in 2 years and be like, damn, we gave up a really, really good talented pitcher. Or it could be a guy that never figures out and never even makes the major leagues.
Right.
I have no idea. I can't imagine there's a single person that evaluates baseball that has any idea how this guy's career will traject. He's an absolute wild card. But you get a pitcher, you get some control, you get a guy that is the Reds needed a lefty reliever more than they needed a starter. And I'm not just saying that because they did it. I said this last week. They needed a lefty reliever, a true lefty reliever. When you're talking, this is the guy that, when you're facing a team like Christian, they don't play the Brewers again, but this would have been a great guy to have against Christian Yelich. Like whoever a team's best left-handed bat is, Max Muncy had 2 home runs against us on Saturday, right? You have that situation again. Luke Weaver's not facing Max Muncy a second time. You're bringing in this guy to get him, and he's been dominant against lefties.
Yeah, or you're bringing in Alex Young in those spots as well, because Alex Young right now is kind of like this sacred piece, right? Where I think David Bell's hesitant to use Alex Young in the 6th inning, definitely in the 5th inning, because he's taken a calculated risk that he might need to use Alex Young in the 8th inning instead of the 6th inning. Now, I'm not suggesting that opens up David Bell's arsenal every single time, but it certainly is going to help a significant amount when it comes to doing the lefty-lefty matchups. We'll see where it goes. I don't know if you could even say that the Reds gave up a lot. I know they gave up a high-risk, high-reward type guy. Boyles was in a spot in his career where probably, in my opinion, the next year and a half, if he doesn't figure it out, I don't want to say no one's going to give him a chance, but it's going to be one of those things where I don't think that he's feast or famine. It's as simple as that, man. And you know what? It doesn't mean, I've said this before, Nick, it doesn't even mean that I'm rooting against Boyle now since he went to the A's. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one thing that I always find weird about, like, people that judge trades sometimes. It's like, when you go to a whole nother organization, I've said this before, it doesn't always mean that you would have had the same success and or same failures at the other place that you would have had in a Reds organization. The Reds are in a spot right now, Nick, where they made starting pitching a priority in this last draft. There's no doubt that they think that their 1st and 2nd round draft picks this year are probably going to be in a position where they're going to help them a little bit quicker than the normal, per se, high school draftee. And Boyle, you already said he had to be out of the 40-man. I'm rooting for Boyle still. I'd like to see him figure it out. Just because he's not in a Reds uniform, I don't think we should root against him now and be like, oh, see, we won the trade. Sometimes it's kind of fun to flex on trades like the CES, Will Benson, and Spencer Steer for
Jake Fraley.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about one trade. You're talking about maybe another one. I was talking about one single trade, but that's here nor there. So we'll see what happens. I think that it's an opportunity for the Reds to show the fan base in a little bit of a way, even though this isn't what Nick Krall's doing. And I don't think Nick Krall gives a holy, I'm going to try to keep it clean, skid show. I don't think Nick Krall cares about our feelings, and he shouldn't. He shouldn't be out here trying to prove that the Reds are serious or the Reds aren't serious. They have to, or this management, this front office / let's call it ownership group, their commitment level will be found out in the offseason. I truly believe that. And the following offseason. And maybe you could make the argument the following deadline. I don't think that you can make a judgment on, well, this front office and this ownership group isn't serious based off what they do at this deadline. That's not fair. We should not do that. We shouldn't do that. If we're good fans, we're not going to do that. More trades. You have it on there. Verlander's been speculative. We talked about it yesterday pretty good at length. I don't want to do that again, but I have a feeling they got something. I did see that there was, I don't know if it was Rosenthal or Law. I'm not sure who it was, but somebody obviously made it known that the Reds I think it was the Reds and the Orioles were the two teams that were the most aggressive teams on the market right now looking for a starting pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Reds are still looking for a starting pitcher. I think Nick Krall is not going to give in, and I don't think Nick Krall should give in. I don't think you have to get a starting pitcher. I think if you can find one that makes sense, where you're not mortgaging your future, then go for it. If not, stand pat. We got a pretty good team. You got Sam Moll. He fills a huge need for this team. And, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow. fascinated to see. Trace, it wouldn't, to me, I wouldn't be shocked if the Reds do absolutely nothing. I wouldn't be shocked if the Reds pull off a trade. I could see it really going either way, and I'm not just saying that to be, I genuinely feel that. I'm more fascinated to see, do the Reds deal Senzel, Newman, or I don't think Fairchild, but Senzel or Newman. I think that's the more maybe fascinating piece. I'm interested. I don't know. I'm the India being hurt kind of is a real wrench into the whole plans here. So
hey, listen, India being hurt definitely helps, or not helps. Excuse me. India being hurt definitely makes the depth of this offense rear its ugly head a little bit. And tonight, if you want to get you want to have some fun and laugh a little bit, this is a little bit of a joke, but I'm being a little bit serious. Tonight would have been nice to have 3 catchers. And the reason I say that is because I really wanted Newman to pinch hit for Meyer right there. The reason for it is that Newman's going to put the ball in play. That was a big run on third base. It felt like a big run on third base. No offense to Meyer. I know that Meyer had a good game. I know Meyer's overall been okay, but from a strikeout-prone perspective, Meyer up here, Newman down here. I would have liked to see someone put the ball in play right there. If they had 3 catchers, there's no doubt in my mind, in my opinion, they would have pinch hit for Meyer. They had to put Newman in there. That might have led to a run. You got Stevenson or probably, to be honest, Casale would have caught in that situation because it's more of a defensive replacement. And you know what? That would have worked out. But that's not what happened. Instead, we survived in advance regardless without the 3 catchers. But I want to I at least want to pull it up for a guy that's made fun of the 3 catchers for a long time. I at least want to say it could have worked out one time, Nick.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy right now.
Just because you go to McDonald's, Nick, okay, and they got hot fries for you, doesn't mean they're going to get hot fries all the time. Don't sit here and act like the 3 catcher thing's a great idea all the time because it would have worked out one single time. All right? A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
You know who has 3 catchers right now? The Chicago Cubs have 3 catchers.
Yeah. Not working out for them.
You'll see 3 catchers again September 1st. And then the Reds will have 3 catchers in the playoffs because you only need to carry like 11 pitchers. So you'll have that extra spot. So our boy Casale, I think, is just gonna be on the IL till September 1st. He's gonna magically be healed, and we'll be back in business.
Yeah, I do think a trade's coming. I do think a trade's coming. I don't know what you do with. It just doesn't make sense to hold on to a guy like Newman or Senzel. In my opinion, I could be wrong. I'd much rather have Stuart Fairchild on the big league roster because I think he provides a little more asset. I think he provides a little more help. Defensive. Can we talk about something? And this isn't being negative. Listen, chat. I'm being dead honest, and people in the podcast. I'm not being negative when I bring this up, but we had 2 balls tonight that you could make the argument that if you had an above-average defender in the outfield, they would have been caught. Instead, they were doubles. One was in right field. And make no mistake, I am not suggesting these balls should have been caught. I am suggesting that if there was an above-average defender in the outfield, they probably would have been caught. The ball that Friedel misplayed and also the ball that misplayed's the wrong word. You get my point here. He didn't make the play in center field, and then obviously Fraley didn't make the play in right field, and some of that has to do with the fact that the ivy, some of that has to do with the fact that it's a little bit, unfamiliar territory per se. It's the first game in a series. But my point is that defense matters, and I think Stuart Fairchild, if he's not the best defender in the outfield, Nick, he's probably pretty damn close.
Just making it all. I mean, one on the 3 catchers, one on Stuart Fairchild. I mean, I'm as happy as a lark, Trace.
I've come around on Stuart Fairchild. I mentioned this months ago. He's a
good player.
I think he brings more value than Senzel.
Yeah, no question. I mean, Senzel just can play third base. That's really the only.
Yeah, is that really that big of a deal?
Yeah, I mean, Fairchild's a great base runner, good fielder. I still think there's some potential there. Tracer Sama might need turned up, and I don't think I can do it on my end.
Okay. Well, I'll turn your mic up then.
Crank me up.
Yeah, I'm not, and again, I'm not suggesting, but for one iota that Fairchild's like he's a guaranteed superstar or something. I'm not suggesting that. I just from a perspective of like who would you rather have? I much rather have Stuart Fairchild. And that's no offense. That's more of an affinity. Let me be very clear when I say this. That's more of an affinity for Stuart Fairchild than it is a knock against Senzel. Like, I don't think Senzel's done really anything that would make me be like, oh, he's horrible, get him out of here. I just think that again, Fairchild makes not routine, but he makes plays in the outfield look a lot easier than they truly are because he's a good outfielder. So, anyway. I turned you up, by the way. I turned you up.
How do I sound now, folks?
Well, who knows?
Good, bad, indifferent?
I think you're good. If they don't think you're good, then I'll turn you up some more. Or perhaps, maybe, just maybe, you have to turn the volume up on your phone or something. I don't know. All right. Some final topics here. I don't know if the chat has anything they want to discuss or if there's any questions from the chat. But the one thing that when India comes back, what happens?
You know what my answer is.
Are we doing this? I'm not. This isn't. Golly, this isn't me like wanting to be I'm not trying to I'm not trying to stir the pot. I'm just asking the genuine question. What happens when he comes back?
I don't think it'll be a problem when he comes back because I think one of three things will happen. Someone gets hurt.
You stop with that. Would you stop with that? You've been saying that all year about the catchers. It's not happened yet. It's not happened. It just hasn't happened.
Sally's on the IL.
Oh, bullshit. That's roster manipulation, and you know it. Don't sit here and act like, let's not front for our organization. We'll call a spade on this show. Do you want to sit here and act like, let me tell you something. Newman the other day, he didn't have gastritis. Get the guy some Pepto-Bismol, and he'll be perfectly fine, okay? But you know what happened? They're like, damn, we got to figure this out. What happens? Oh, Newman, you got a problem. What's your problem? The wheel stops. It's like the wheel of lunch. The wheel stops, and boom, gastritis. They're like, oh, Casale, what's that? And then he's like, what do you mean? And they throw a weight down on his foot. It hits his foot, and he's like, damn, what'd you do that for? He's like, oh, you're on the 10-day IL. You got a foot problem. That's what they're doing down there, and I'm for it. I'm not saying there's a problem, but let's not sit here and act like there's an injury with our catchers.
All right, I really should have done this. There's three options, and I should have saved injury for the last one because I think it would have came across the whole lot better. That was on me. It was on me. All right, so let's start over. Let's start afresh. One of three things happen. Either number one, there's a glaring offensive hole, and India can fix it. Right? CES doesn't hit. Votto doesn't hit, fill in whoever else.
Both guys have been hitting lately. We'll see. Yes, had a good game today. But go ahead. I'm listening.
It sounds like India's going to be out for several weeks at least at this point. There could be a production that clearly solves itself and there's a spot. Number two could be there isn't. No one has any problems. And you know what? It kind of makes it a lot easier to say, hey, Jonathan, I'm sorry. There's just not a spot for you. Everyone's hitting right now. We're not messing with it. We did that earlier. We didn't mess with it and take you out of the lineup. We're not messing with it now. Or the third one is, the other option that could happen. And I should have saved that for third at the beginning.
Sure. Injuries could happen. I'm not naive to that. So from now on,
but I don't think it's going to be an issue.
I'm not saying it's going to be an issue. It's just that it's a wild statement. This is a wild team, man. It's a wild statement when Spencer Steer says that second base is his most natural position. He feels like he feels the most comfortable there. I don't know. Maybe that's just an off the cuff comment that he meant. I don't think he means much by it, but it's just like if that's the case, then that makes some things interesting. That makes some things a little interesting because there for a while, I think we were all assuming that Spencer Steer was going to play maybe left field, and then you realized, okay, maybe he's going to play first base. Now, all right, he's going to go back to third base. Now he's playing second base with Indy out, and now he's saying in his mind he feels like he's the most comfortable there. One thing that Spencer Steer is going to have to start doing, and again, it's fair for him to be a rookie to have some struggles, but he's going to have to start being a little more offensively productive here relatively soon to warrant him being in the lineup every single day. I don't know your thoughts on that, but do you have any comments on him saying that he feels the most comfortable at second base at all?
Well, the numbers back that up. That's why I'm glad you brought that up, because when I saw the lineup today, I was like, this actually makes sense, because I've been a big let's play Elliott shortstop thing, and this gives you an opportunity to play him at shortstop.
Right.
But Spencer Steer, -4 outs above average at third base, -6 outs above average at first base. Now, I've cautioned you all along, don't put too much stock into small samples, but that's the only sample I have to go on. And we also need to mention he's kind of moved all over the place, so it's not fair to say this is exactly what he is at third base or first base. But the only numbers we have say he hasn't been a very good defensive player at either one of those spots. So the Reds, they know him better. They saw him play in the minor leagues at different positions, and he played all over the place in the minor leagues. It very well might make sense that that your best defense right now would be with him at second base. So I don't mind that part of it at all. I think Spencer Steer eventually is going to be that guy that does have to move all around, unless he just sticks at first base, unless he hits so well that he becomes an everyday first baseman and works on that defensively. Because it's Marte, Ellie, McLean, and I won't listen to anything else. That's the future. That's what's happening.
Right.
And everyone else is going to have to work their way around that.
Yeah, and the other point I would make too is if CES can play first base as well as he's looked at first base, I think that you ride with that. And that's all saying that CES actually hits, the way that we expect him to come to be a major league hitter. And I have full confidence that will happen. However, crazier things have happened. If CES can play first base as well as he's played, I would really like to save that DH spot, because I am a real stickler with that DH spot in regards to the whole defensive thing, right? Like, there's just not that many opportunities for guys that are really disgusting and or not very good defensively to have a real huge impact on a team, and the DH spot is one of the few positions that you can just, there it is. That's what it's made for. CES having the power and the pop that he could possibly have, but also have the defensive acumen that he could possibly have, makes him valuable there. That's where you start to ask the question, okay, where does Steer fit in the mold? That's a conversation for another day. I'm not worried about it. Marte's still in AAA. I know that you're high on him. We should be high on him. We should come to expect great things out of him. But until he does it at a major league level, I'm not going to sit here and say that, he's automatically in the infield. Now, I get why you say that, and you've not been wrong on many of these guys that have come up so far. So, kudos to you in regards to that. But again, let's just worry about that for another day. My main point was, if Steer plays second base at a pretty high level and he's hitting the ball, there's really only one spot left for Jonathan India to play, in my opinion. And that is DH.
Yeah, this year.
This year. I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I thought it was something interesting. I mean, it was more or less interesting because Steer said that he feels comfortable there. If he didn't feel comfortable there, that would kind of... And you know what? I do want to say this about Jonathan India. I think he's gotten better as a defender at second base. I really do think that. Do I think he's horrible? No. Do I think he's below average? Yes. Do I think he's a guy that when you account for all the guys that we have, is he one of the guys that I would be putting at second base all the time? Probably not. I get the tenure thing. I get the leadership thing to a small extent. But point is if you're trying to put the best lineup out there, I don't know if he's really the guy you put at second base. So at the end of it, maybe, just maybe, Jonathan India ends up being our DH. We'll see. That's here nor there. Got another super chat from A. Willis really fast. He says, Moral with not so deep drive of the game. Love the bat flip. Double and not scoring. A. Willis, that was actually laugh out loud funny. I was a little pissed at Friedel for missing that ball, because it would have been even better if it was a fly out. Could you imagine? I mean, he bat flipped that thing like it was like 10 rows up into the stands, for real. And it legit, no offense to Friedel for missing it. It was a tough play, but the ball wasn't. I don't even know if the ball was going to hit the fence. Fence is in like ivy wall, but I think it was going to hit the warning track. Anyway, go ahead.
I was just going to add, I mean, I think there probably would be some like starts at second base for India like in September when he comes back. But if you're talking about a playoff team, Jonathan India is your DH in the playoffs. You're not playing him in the field. But that's the only thing I would maybe add to that. I do want to add one more thing, though, here before we maybe wrap this up.
Well, I'm ready.
I was doing some research on the Cubs. This team is they got a lot of really, really good players. Did Reed Mouse curse the Cubs this year?
I don't know.
Like, you look at their stats up and down, like they should be way better record-wise than they are. I mean,
what's their run differential?
Question. It's way higher than the Reds.
I think it might be the high. But
it was the third highest in the National League coming into today. I know that.
I'm saying right now you could add up the Reds difference.
Plus 57.
Plus 57. Man.
Reds are plus 3. I mean, you come in on, hating on your local town's team and, people who didn't even have that high of expectations. And I mean,
it's a fair point.
I think Taylor Swift has a song about karma, and it
could be something.
Might be something there.
Could be something. Abraham with the super chat said W's only. That's right, Abraham. That's right. Also, Tanner Hall says don't jinx this Kirby. It's a good point by Tanner. I'm going to reverse jinx it right now. Right, it is a 9-inning game. Elliott, the zebra, got a little hasty in the group chat today. Not saying it was his fault that the Cubs almost came back and won, but by golly, I would have put it on the zebra if they did. I would have put it right on the square of the zebra if they did. Buzz and Woody, whoop, wrong way. Back there, they're hanging out. All right, Nick, I don't know if you have any final parting thoughts. I just want to tell you that the amount of people that watch this show and the amount of people that actively engage in us and the chat and liking the stream is it's incredible, man. I don't know how to explain it outside the fact that I just didn't expect this. I get that the Reds are better than we all expected. I get that maybe we've been just starving for something, so we've just kind of struck gold and got lucky. I don't know what the hell it is that's caused this formula of this many people wanting to come on here late at night and talk about the Cincinnati Reds, win, lose, or reign, than what we've had. And I just want to tell you, I know I do this all the time, man, but there's just like pinch you moments at times, and maybe someday we'll laugh about the fact that, we used to think that this was, we've made it type thing. I'm not saying we've made it, but I'm just saying in general, I say this sincerely to you guys, okay? We started Chatterbox, and when I tell you when COVID hit, how close we were from just closing the door down was absolutely ridiculously close. And I lay down at night sometimes and I think to myself, it is absolutely bonkers, stupid, ridiculous that we are in the position that we're in. Did it come with a lot of hard work? Yes. Did we risk a lot of financial dollars and all that of our own and just burn the midnight oil and all that? Yes. But you know what? Like, I don't want you for a second, when you watch this stream or you see what the content we put out from our company, for a second that we think that we're any bigger than we are. You make this go. Like, you watching this show gives us a chance to be enthusiastic, one, but two, put as much time into this as we do to try to make sure that, we want people to appreciate it. We want people to enjoy their time when they're with us. And I just want to tell you that the numbers in and of itself are going to give us a chance to sell this show. And the more we sell this show, we can get more producers. The more producers, we can make a better show. I'm not suggesting by any means that this show doesn't have some decent producing already. Nick Kirby does an unbelievable job. I told him that. He runs the show. He's the captain of the ship. But at the end of the day, it requires you to watch this show. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate you. We thank you. And you know what? If this thing goes sideways a little bit, okay. But I just want to tell you, we're going to be here regardless, and we're going to have fun, and we're going to fight through it. Will we be pissed off? Will you hear Trace probably rant more and complain about something? Yes, but at the surface level of all of this, or maybe not the surface level, but way underneath this at the core level, I just can't. I have to tell you that I appreciate you. I have to tell you that I genuinely love the fact that you jump on here and you watch the show, because it makes it worth it. It genuinely makes it worth it. We put a lot of time into this, yes, but more importantly, you put a lot of time into watching our content. And I'm not going to stop telling you that I love you. I'm not going to stop telling you that I appreciate you, because we genuinely do. We talk about it all the time. I can't tell you how thankful we are of your viewership. And if you're watching this in podcast form or listening to this in podcast form, same goes to you. The podcast numbers, you've mentioned it before, Nick, are just, you almost feel like that's even a crazier thing.
Yeah. To you folks.
Oh my God, Nick's going to be drunk tomorrow. Nick's going to be drunk tomorrow.
Got to be on off the bench. Got to be on off the bench at 10:15. So
oh gosh. I'm calling the cavalry in.
Might have a big day tomorrow. So tomorrow, I'll be on off the bench at 10:15. If there's a big trade that happens in the afternoon, we'll go live, right?
Yeah, as soon as a trade happens, we'll be live. If there is a trade, we will be live. Period. Point blank. Yo boy Pop Tart, love that username. Ellie's 0 for 5, but I don't care because we got the W. That's right. That's right. As always, who, what, when, where, and why, Nick?
All right. Big trade deadline tomorrow. We'll see what happens during the day. But at 8:05, Reds and Cubs, game 2 of the 4-game series. Reds will be going up against All-Star Justin Steele, having a great year, 11-3, 2.87 ERA. However, Steele has a career 8.34 ERA against the Cincinnati Reds, and had one of his worst starts of the year against the Cincinnati Reds when he gave up 10 hits and 6 runs in 3 2/3 innings. We talked about a little earlier about some of the guys that might be in the lineup tomorrow, some of the platoon guys. Well, Newman, he's 3 for 6 with 2 doubles. Senzel's 4 for 7. Stevenson, 5 for 7. Spencer Steer is 2 for 3 against Justin Steele. And for the Reds, it'll be Ben Lively, who has just been incredible since he came back off the IL back on July 9th. 4 starts. He's got an ERA of an even 3. And Ben Lively has never pitched in Wrigley Field. So this will be a new experience for Ben Lively. Looking forward to it tomorrow night.
As we should. I'm going to ride this damn wave as long as I can. I tell you what, I feel like I'm on a fairy tale, and it's just not stopping. I thought maybe after the Milwaukee debacle, I guess that's the term to use, that maybe we were going to get into a little bit of a funk and fall out of this thing. But nope, not these guys. These dudes are bastards, dude. These dudes are just gnats. They don't go away, man. They don't go away. That thing is shining. That thing is shining like the sun on a beautiful summer day in the Midwest, Nick. Let everybody see Nicolas Cage if you've not seen him before. If this is your first time, check this out. Oh, man. Nothing says close your internet browser like that.
What the hell are these guys doing?
All right. Nicolas Cage, man. We need you about 25 more times this year. Maybe 30. We need you about 30 more times. I'll say 30. We get him 30 more times, I think we're in pretty damn good shape. We'll see how it goes. One of these days, Nick's going to break something behind him when he does the old Nicolas Cage pillow toss. This is the part of the show where I'm supposed to say something that, I don't know, you could say that it's inspirational. I don't think I have that in me tonight. But I'll tell you right now, what is inspirational is that we are going to figure out a way tonight to finally figure out this whole graphics package. You see that? That was smooth, baby. That was the way it's supposed to go. The last few nights, not so much. Like I said, I got some things going on. I do have a golf trip coming up, but I still plan to be on this show. I don't know how. I'm going to figure it out because you know why? I'm going to ride this wave as long as I can. I'm tired of missing shows. I feel like Nick's been carrying this thing on his back for a while. But nonetheless, I do need to get some hotkeys. You know why? Because I always have to dig around and look for this outro, and it takes me way too long to do it. But the outro means one thing. It means it's time for a dunk. And usually when I dunk a basketball at 12:02 on the Eastern Coast, some call it the Eastern Standard Time, I try to do it quietly. But not tonight. You know why? Because Chicago Have you ever seen their restrooms? They got troughs. People pissing all over each other. You know why? Because they got a piss poor team. That's why. And by golly, let me tell you something. I'm proud to be a Reds fan. I couldn't be more proud of this team tonight. They survived and they advanced, and I'm going to go dunk a basketball before it because of it. I love all of you, and from my house to yours, go Reds. Watch this. Athlete.